Good morning or afternoon or evening whenever you're watching this, and thanks for watching. We are continuing in our Books of the Bible series. Today we are talking about one of my favorite books of the Bible, Nehemiah. The author says in chapter 1, verse 1, the words of Nehemiah, though there are some Jewish traditions that would say these words were actually put on paper by Ezra, that he transcribed them. But the date is approximately 445 BC. And the key theme of this book is that the returning Jewish exiles, or the return to Jewish exiles, rebuild the broken walls around Jerusalem. So Nehemiah serves as the king's cupbearer in Shushan, Persia, and he hears that, remember that group of exiles in Ezra that had gone back to Jerusalem? He hears that although they're there, they have not rebuilt the walls around Jerusalem, so they have no defense against the enemies, against the pagan enemies in the area. So Nehemiah goes in. It's a cool story. The king has never seen him sad, and so Nehemiah goes in sad, and the king goes, "Hey, what's going on?" And so he asks for permission to go back and to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, and then he's going to come back later on and finish out his job as a cupbearer for the king in Shushan. But anyways, he receives the king's permission. He goes back to Jerusalem. He rebuilds the wall, although there's lots of pagan people around that are threatening to do things to the wall and to the people of Jerusalem. They're threatening to kill them and all this other stuff. So you've got all that's going on. But the quick work on the project, the way that Nehemiah did it, it kind of shocks the Jews' enemies, and they perceive that this was actually from God, that God wrought this work on the wall. There's some quotable verses. Chapter 5, verse 19 says, "Think upon me, my God, for good, according to all that I have done for this people." My favorite one is chapter 4 and verse 14. It says, "And I looked and arose and said to the nobles," this is Nehemiah after he's been threatened, "to the leaders and to the rest of the people, do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, great and awesome, and fight for your brethren, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses." So he was a man's man who would stand up and say, "Hey, listen, doesn't matter what they say. We're doing something for God, and nobody can stop us. So remember that the Lord is awesome, and He's great, and fight for Him." Okay, so it's just really cool book. Some unique and unusual about the book. There was some indignant, there it is, over some fellow Jews' intermarriage with pagans. So Nehemiah cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair. I mean, just insanity. But then here we go, the final thing. So what about this? Nehemiah's success in rebuilding Jerusalem's walls provides many leadership principles for today, especially his consistent focus on prayer. So there's stuff all over the place that will give us this leadership principles from Nehemiah. It's a great book. I encourage you to read it. It's awesome. And then I encourage you today to pray for Carolina. She's got some performances coming up this next week, so pray for her and that she'd have a good week. Have a good day.